Welcome to the amazing digital circus! My name is Kane. I'm your ringmaster, and I'm here to show you the most jaw-dropping, heart-stopping, mind-bending paraphernalia you've ever laid your eyes upon! Isn't that right, Bubble?
That's right, Kane. I can't wait to see what you've got cooking up for today.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the show!
Alright, so I have seen this show probably 3 times through now, and I absolutely adore it. But I have seen episode 8 recently, and I just thought I would at least bring up some things because this is ultimately about Christian philosophy, and one of the things that I think is important as a Christian is really just the discretion that I have with the shows that I watch, because anything that I consume, any type of entertainment especially, will have an impact on me in my life. I'm very particular about my music for this very reason. In fact, I've actually done a few podcasts on music. I hope that you actually go and watch those, because the first one is called Why Fundamental Baptist Music is Unbiblical, and then the second one is More Why Fundamental Baptist Music is Unbiblical. And I really believe that we can use all different kinds of genres to ultimately praise God, and it's not what comes into us that defiles us, it's what comes out from our hearts. And so I feel that exact same way with anything related to television as well. If I watch pornography, that's not what is going to actually ruin me, even though it will, yes, but that's not the sin. That's not the sin going on, is what I mean. Instead, the sin ultimately comes from my heart. It's when my heart is evil and it desires that. That's why you can sin before you even do something like that. Now, I'm certainly not saying that the TADC is pornography, because it's totally not. It does have some crude jokes in it, but I think it's hilarious, it's wonderful, it's so much fun to watch, it is extremely creative. If you haven't heard of it or haven't watched it, I actually suggest that you do, for certain, and even Christians, and I want to explain why. I ultimately have the title up because I do disagree with really the philosophy of really the worldview of the creator. I'm not certain that the creator would necessarily appreciate my opinion. Maybe the creator would, but I have nothing against, I would say respectfully, him, because he is trans to woman, so biologically male for what I understand. That's just kind of what I found. And so for goodness sakes, he is great with music, has done an amazing job on the show. It's interesting because he said before that his favorite character is Jax, and the one he's most related to. That makes a lot of sense, actually, because Jax is like this guy who has some girly interests, and so him being a transgender woman just kind of makes a lot of sense, and that he can really relate, and Jax is almost possibly based off of Goose, which I guess I could look up his, I don't know his actual name, but I had some stuff here that I thought I would actually show you guys, just some things that I found on, I guess this is the, youtubefandom.com, but it just kind of confirms here with, I guess this is from Twitter, but she is a transgender woman, so that would be correctly he. I don't believe in transgenderism. I think it's unhealthy for people. So that's why I'm saying that respectfully. You can disagree with me, but I thought this was interesting because this I want to go with this into episode 8. But someone had said in 2024, June 2nd, "Dear Gooseworx, we all proudly and joyfully congratulate you on Pride Month." And so Gooseworx, of course, puts, "I am but a humble transgender human female. God really didn't help me out, if I'm being honest. Kind of had to work hard to be who I feel I should be." I want you to know, if I doubt Goose would ever watch this, but I feel almost like compassion on you. I don't know if you necessarily would want that, because I personally struggle with mental issues that many would label as not like serious mental issues. I would say pretty much, I would say most people struggle with mental issues to a certain degree. But I haven't like fallen into depression, but I know what it's like to deal with it. I know what it's like to feel either uncomfortable or to feel, oh my goodness, to feel certainly not wanted. That's something that I've had, especially from my peers, is just feeling like this lack of like people actually wanting me around. I have gotten some of that from my family members, but ultimately God has actually blessed me with a really good family, and we've all become great friends, and I'm very blessed to have that. But I don't know what type of life Goose has been through, so I'm not going to just attack him for the decisions that he's made in his life. Instead, I'm going to say that I disagree ultimately that it's God's fault, because I disagree with transgender ideology. It never helps when you have a mental health issue. And this is someone who enjoys psychology. I'm not ignorant to the things in psychology and how to deal with mental health. Not to say that I'm certainly not a professional, just like I'm not a professional philosopher or psychologist, but it's foolish to think that you should give in to the desires of your flesh, whether they're telling you to, for instance, there are many studies that will say pornography or masturbation is healthy for men. And, well, I would certainly argue it isn't, because it gives you, first of all, a false idea of marriage and relationships. But it can just, it can actually, it can hurt you, because you're missing a piece that isn't there when you're having these desires. Those desires are only supposed to be fulfilled when you have someone there in love, when you have that relationship in love. And so that's really just an example of, like, when you have a mental health issue, like, for instance, depression, the way to counteract that is not to go deeper in that hole and say, yes, I have this and I'll never get rid of it. No, or to say that, oh, I don't feel comfortable, so I'm going to give in to the uncomfortableness. Instead, it's the opposite. You do realize those problems, but you fix those with things such as having proper friendships, proper relationships, healthy relationships, and then also having someone to talk to. And you certainly never should blame a problem that you are having on someone else. That's specifically like a mental health issues. It doesn't mean that, say if someone hurt you, you don't hold the blame to that specific person as much as you can understand that that's there. So how far Goose is like, I hate God, I have zero idea. I've only done a little bit of research. That's why I was going to actually look at episode 8 here and just some of it, because I thought that it's very possible that there's actually a lot of that coming out. But really what I'm ultimately saying here is that you should never try to fall into that depression. Instead, you should push against it and fight for natural order rather than unnatural. That's why a progressive ideology is often very ignorant and foolish, because it doesn't have to do with the natural progression of things. It's going beyond that. And it's really from a humanistic ideology which has ruined our country in a lot of ways. And it is obvious that statistically the Christian ideology or Christian worldview, a Judeo-Christian worldview, is actually what helps our society. Traditional families, which includes traditional sexual orientation, where you have a mother and a father who love each other, biological, male and female, who love each other and are bound together in marriage because of their love covenant that they have made with each other, and they have children whom they love and desire to take care of, and they each follow their specific roles, all in love, and as this like duty from love that comes from that. It's not out of necessity, it's all out of what is true and good and right. Now, that's in an ideal society, but we should seek for that. We should run towards that. And that's what has really helped our country to flourish for so long, is the Christian ideals that we have been founded on. So I understand that Goose is from Australia. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, actually. American YouTuber. Okay, so no, I guess American. Yeah, and again, I have nothing against Gooseworx. I absolutely love the things that he has made. And I also love a lot of the fan music videos and animations that have been made on the side from people who also have different sexual orientations. So I just want to kind of make that clear, and also that I disagree with the transgenderism ideology. I don't think I have the time really necessarily to go too far deep into that, because I really wanted to look at this episode and really go into the philosophy of this. Like, should Christians actually watch this, essentially? Because it's not in essence it's not in essence something that is trying to glorify God. And so it's like, well, should I watch this? And one of my questions before is like, or I guess not one of my questions, but in one of my podcasts is, for music that honors God, we should listen to stuff, and even just entertainment in general, stuff that at least to some degree seeks to glorify Christ. But can you essentially eat chocolate is really the question here. Well, yes, I think you can. But too much is a bad thing. And you should have discretion. You should still have fruits and vegetables. And you may even really love those fruits and vegetables. I know I certainly do enjoy a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruits. And so that's kind of how it is with me and Christian music. And then with secular music, I love a lot of music. And even secular music, and that even includes entertainment, I love watching even secular stuff. It helps actually it encourages me to create things, and I get lots and lots of ideas. So in that sense already, I do believe Christians can watch it, for sure. But I think you should do it with both eyes and brain on. It doesn't, of course, mean that you should give this to your kids. I don't think the intent of the Amazing Digital Circus is really for children, even though I don't know, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you see what I'm talking about some of Gooseworx ideology, like showing through. Now, I could be absolutely wrong about this, and I think it's very possible. My brother and I kind of had some discussions about what happens in episode 9, because we're certainly very excited to see it, and I think it might go one way from the interpretation of this episode, but again, I could be totally reading into things that I just have no idea.
I don't understand, Bubble. They want an exit, they want answers, they want something real. I give them an adventure that covers all of that, and they still hate it? Surely they don't want to actually leave me, right?
No way, Jose. No way, no how.
I do everything for these people. I slave over these adventures for them. I step outside my comfort zone to appeal to them, and they still hate them. I made a program that creates a body perfectly encapsulating their mind files, and they hate those too. I'm starting to get the feeling that they just hate.
Why would they hate you when they could just hate you?
This is why I was created. This is my function.
They'd rather.
Yeah, so I want to just stop there, and because I think I can honestly only play so much. Maybe not. Let me switch to my capture completely. There you go. So I think that it's very possible that the humanistic ideology is coming through, and also an atheistic idea. But I'm worried that, not necessarily worried. There have been a lot of references to the Truman Show, and the creator of the Truman Show was very like anti-God, and that's even part of the movie. Now, I love the movie. I watched the movie. In fact, I would like to watch it again. It's very well done. So I have nothing against the creator, nothing against the movie, even though it's pretty much against God. Is it possible that episode 8 is doing that, making Cain essentially like God, and then he goes insane, and you'll kind of see that here. And like, for instance, he's saying, I slave over things, right? I create these adventures for them, almost like it sounds very similar to kind of things that God does for us. So I'm just going to play more.
Abstract than go on your adventures.
That can't be true. I do everything for them. Don't they get that I'm trying?
Maybe you're just genuinely bad at this.
Shut up! No. I fixed that. I can solve any problem. I can solve this one. That's what this is. A big puzzle that I need to solve.
Defective.
Shut up!
Onward.
Enough!
Maybe you deserved to be abandoned. You really were the lesser of the two. You ruined this.
Enough! Who do they think they are? I give them everything, and they spit in my face! Don't they know what I'm capable of? Humans! They only think about themselves. They're spoiled! They won't abstract. They won't leave me. I won't let them! I'm better! I'm more powerful! I'm the original! I am God!
Absolutely love that scene. I love how they did that. But I think this is where it's possible. I mean, he literally says, I am God. But from what I remember, Am from I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream actually says the same thing and like claims divinity and all of this. Maybe even that actually is like anti-God as well. I actually don't know. So it's very possible, because a lot of the things he's saying is like a bad version. It sounds like a bad version of God that I have heard personally from atheists, and not just atheists even, but people who they'll ask questions and then they'll clarify them with these characteristics that they give to God. And I will say, and a lot of times they'll even say these things to make me upset. I have this at work a lot, or I used to anyways. I used to have a lot of this. So a lot of, the things he's saying, it's just very interesting. And so I want to kind of move forward to past the musical number, which is also super fun and hilarious, and closer to where they start. But even so, let's continue with this. You guys tell me what you think, because maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to specifically what Goose is trying to show here, because episode 9 could go so many directions. But let's watch this.
Bait you into testing your new ideas on us so we can make fun of them behind your back.
Ha! That's not true.
Yes, it is. You're a horrible host. You don't care about us at all. You care more about stroking your own ego than giving us anything we'd actually enjoy.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, you're a failure. We're all gonna abstract someday. And what will you have then? Nothing.
Stop that.
And this whole stunt? Just torturing us because we hurt your feelings? Pathetic! You're like a child. What kind of all-powerful being has such a fragile ego?
You never let us feel like we're at home. You don't comfort anyone when they're upset, and you never bother to understand what it's like in our shoes.
You discourage us from thinking outside the box and doing things our own way.
You lie to us constantly.
And on top of it all, you just don't listen!
And then he goes insane. Which again, if you guys want to watch that episode, I think you should absolutely do that. And I did want to show some in episode 3 actually. Here, just a second. So I think very clearly they're trying to attribute to this like straw man version of God, or at least I say they as in all the people working on this. From what I understand, Goose is really the one who does certainly he does the majority of the work. And again, I think it's good. It's just that, and it's good in that it's creative. But it's just that if that is specifically about trying to go after God, then of course I disagree with it. I'll still watch it. And I think Christians should, because again, it's very creative. Do I think that even something that is, say it's just for the sake of what I'm talking about here, this is explicitly going after God. It's like, you just don't listen, you don't care, and it's all about your ego. And then he responds with, do you know who I am? Like, I have heard this stuff against God, those specific things, and I think it relates to even what Goose says right here specifically. I know you guys can't see it, but let me actually just size that up. All right. I am but a humble transgender human female. God really didn't help me out, if I'm being honest. Kind of had to work hard to be who I feel I should be. So, again, it's very possible that this is like humanistic ideology coming through, like atheistic, humanistic. I don't know for sure. But I think at the end of the day, even if it is, we should understand, as I said earlier, let's say that it is, that every Christian should understand that and should be okay with the fact that people have issues with God. And we shouldn't be afraid or shy to essentially come at this with proper answers, or with intelligence, or with kindness. Certainly, we 2 Peter 3:15 says to, when we give an answer to everyone that asks us of the hope that lies within us, we do it with meekness and with fear, which I believe in ESV is gentleness and respect. Maybe that's CSB. And that's extremely true. We as Christians need to do that when responding to these kinds of things, and not just utterly nuclear disassociate because we don't like an opinion that was shared in one part of an episode. Speaking of, there was actually another part that I wanted to show here. More commercials. And I guess while we're waiting, I want to know, guys, if you like this setup, because I honestly have no idea if it's even a good idea. I like it. I think it's different. I don't normally do stuff like this. I normally just talk to a camera. I don't normally have something on the side. It often distracts me. It's actually really hard to think. But if you guys think this is some good content, then please leave a comment, subscribe, like the video. Give me reasons to keep doing this type of stuff. All right, so let's watch this piece here that I thought it was humanistic. It's not bad.
I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. I really am in hell.
Don't say that. You're not in... Well, I guess we are technically in... Forget about that. How about we just relax for a bit while nothing's chasing us? It was my fault we went down this path, wasn't it? I'm really sorry for that.
Why have you been acting so different lately?
I have, haven't I? I'm normally not too good with memories, but being surrounded by darkness always brings me back to a certain time. Right after my events, Jack touched
You had a wife?
created. She somehow... It's what I know how it can feel
There we go.
in this circus. Sometimes it all just feels pointless,
Yeah.
but it's not. Not if you have people who care about you. Good memories can do a lot. Hold on to them. And cherish the people around you. You never know when they'll be gone. In this world, the worst thing you can do is make someone think they're not wanted or loved.
And I think that's a very appropriate line. It's very well done. I really like the music. The animation is just absolutely amazing. But it is very obviously humanistic. He's not necessarily wrong in every scenario with what he's saying. But the purpose of life is not to have relationships and friends and enjoy life in that sense. It's ultimately to glorify God, even if you upset people, even if you make people feel like they're not wanted. That doesn't mean you don't try to do that, because no, certainly not. You should love your neighbor as yourself, which is the second greatest commandment. So the humanistic ideology gets that from Christianity, and I would say almost every philosopher would agree with me on that. But I can see it. I could see it already earlier on in this show, and that it was heading in that direction. I think the dealing with their psychological problems, and that is pretty well done. I don't agree with Zubul as much. I don't think she is exactly like super well done, except unless in the 9th episode it's like, hey, I don't have to like feel uncomfortable in my body. I actually just kind of make the decision to just like not feel like actually feel comfortable and just be okay with myself. And that's not non-binary, it's binary female. That's what I'm guessing Zubul is biologically female. And so it would be the same, I would say, to Gooseworx, is he doesn't need to feel uncomfortable at all. He never had to. That's ultimately something that I realize it's not as easy as just get over yourself, because that's not how you deal with mental issues. But it takes a lot of time and very hard work and to ultimately feel comfortable in your own skin, not in some other skin. Don't put yourself in some other body to make yourself feel comfortable, because that isn't ultimately going to satisfy you. It's just like an addiction. No, it's not like just like an addiction to drugs. It's just like ultimately someone like who, I know this is an extreme example, but someone who is a mass murderer but is psychologically, it checks out. He's insane. He's mentally insane. You don't send him out into the world and put him before people that ultimately he has the chance to kill. Instead, you actually try to, bring him to normalcy, essentially, bring him to what a person is supposed to be, and you wouldn't do that with. This is me disagreeing with the humanistic ideology, but you wouldn't do that with someone who feels uncomfortable in his or her skin, because that's ultimately just going to further the issue, and that you are not who you were made to be. You are not who you were intended to be. Who you were born to be is actually a bad thing. That's essentially what you tell the person emotionally. So that's why I really disagree with transgenderism at the end of it all. And that's why I think that in this show, I have these disagreements. I don't necessarily want to hear this, but I like other aspects of the show. Should I watch this? And that's really the conclusion of this. I think every adult Christian should definitely consider watching The Amazing Digital Circus. If you explicitly disagree with this and then that makes you like really uncomfortable, don't watch it, okay? You don't have to. But it's a really good show. It's very creative, and it's taught me a lot about story writing. Even has helped me, how you deal with characters that are so unique. Like these are extremely unique characters. I love it. And that's why I think that Christians should watch it, because there's so much they can learn from it. So again, you guys leave your comments below and tell me if you like this format, if you like some of my thoughts, if you disagree. Hey, let's have some conversation. Let's have some discussion. I will see you on the next video. God bless you all and have an amazing day.